Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 38 today for the Brazilian Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous episode of the Mexican Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Not only was it a very tasty race, also aesthetically, we had a special one-off livery to kind of pay homage to Sergio Perez's home GP. Of course, he's been the man carrying the team for most of this season, but, you know, things might be changing last minute here, because following that result at Mexico, spoiler alert, it was a hectic one, 3 safety cars, and in the end we came out on top to win our 3rd race of this season. We are now, you know, a lot closer. We have always been mathematically able to still win the title for the last couple of episodes, but I've never really felt like truly would close the gap to the point. Vettel and Perez have been so consistent. They've been, you know, over 20 points ahead of us for most of the time, but now we are very, very close. Now, there's still a lot of work to do. Vettel on 215 points, Perez 6 back with 209, and then we're a further 8 back. So we do have quite a large margin to bring down, especially if you consider how consistent Vettel and Perez are usually and have been this season. But if something was to go our way, let's say one of them was outside the top 10, or even just, you know, let's say P8 downwards, that could, you know, throw a spanner to the works and turn up the pressure in terms of from their side of keeping ahead of myself. And then obviously that's the same sort of thing with Vettel. Vettel, in now what is a slower Aston Martin car, remember, is trying to maintain that lead, but Perez is just slowly chipping away. Obviously Japan was a massive swing for Vettel, a very surprising P2, but then USA, Mexico, he's chipped away a bit, and he will try and continue to do that at Brazil, Australia, and then Abu Dhabi at the finale. But we could be a bit of a dark horse. We could come through, not even chip away, just kind of smash through the door and kind of be like a surprise entrant into the Drivers' Championship fight maybe at the last race at Abu Dhabi. Depends on how Brazil and Australia go. Brazil, kind of a mixed bag. You never know what you're going to get, really. The AI are usually very good around there, but sometimes, you know, tyre wear, chaos, rain, yeah, anything really, differing strategies really, just plain and simple, can sometimes make Brazil a very interesting one. And then Australia being the second last race is still very, very weird to me. That's also kind of a bit of unknown, because it's also very weird to go there at this point of the season. So I feel like, you know, the cars, you know, at least me, I'm not used to Australia that late on the season, and so it feels like a very weird sort of scenario for everyone. There's not too much time in game in the activity timeline between Mexico and Brazil, so not too much to look through in terms of the activities. Just we've got a HQ event that comes up about a missing simulator driver, and on Perez's behalf, I'm going to decline this, because if he accepts it, he gets reduced focus. So you can't say I'm, you know, playing any kind of dodgy tactics in terms of the Drivers' Championship. I'm still genuinely trying to give Perez the best chance he has at winning the championship by making these decisions, trying to boost his focus as much as he can, because of course his focus has been a little bit low for some random reason, even though he's been performing still very well, especially in the last 2 episodes, but it's still, I think, in the low kind of 60s really, compared to what it was previously. I think high 80s at one point, wasn't it, on the focus about halfway through the season. But yeah, I'm still trying to do the best job I can to be, you know, give him all the tools to succeed and chip away at Vettel's lead. At the same time, obviously then individually, I'm going to try and drive the wheels off this car and see what we can do for the remaining 3 races. But, you know, there's been some interesting debate in the comments below from you guys, whether I should be actively just trying to get Perez the win here, or should I now go for the win myself? It's a tough one, because obviously the whole season, Perez has been carrying the team in a way, obviously dragging that car up to positions where I can get to initially, obviously, in the first kind of 2/3 of the season. So there's a kind of, you know, question mark of who deserves it. But, you know, in Formula 1, it is just a very simple case of whoever deserves it is the man who's got the most points. So it's really anyone's game, really. But I'm not going to try and actively do anything weird with Perez in terms of, you know, taking focus off him, whatever. It's going to be a fair level playing ground with myself and him. And then obviously with Vettel, that's different. It's a different team. So we'll have to see how that goes. But Aston Martin, obviously on the back foot ever since that unfortunate nerf in the middle way of the season, which I feel like, you know, I agree with a few comments I've seen on the last episode. It has been a little bit, you know, frustrating. I feel like there needs to be an option when there's a patch for car performances. You need to be able to accept or deny that performance update until you're ready to do it, like in the email system, like with the driver stats, because I would have rather have kept everything level as it was earlier in the season and then started season 3 with the patch, if you know what I mean, because it kind of feels almost like cheating in a way in terms of they've been kind of demoted. But to be fair to Vettel's AI, he's still been getting some class results, so he could still well end up being right there at the finish, you know, lifting the trophy. We're going to have to see. But let's go then into the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're going to have a upgrade in. Obviously, we had that ultimate drag reduction update that was pending. We chose not to rush it, and we would wait until this race to get it. So now we have it with 3 races to go. That's going to be a massive booster in terms of in traffic, maybe overtaking cars in a straight line. That drag reduction, because the FOM My Team car is very draggy, so that's going to be a massive bonus for us, I think. But we're now going into the race weekend. It's a bit overcast, and as I mentioned before, Sao Paulo, there's always the chance of rain around here. You know, tropical climate, and you've also got tyre wear, differing strategies. Traffic is always a nightmare around here. You know, you can get some good overtaking done on the game, I guess, in Sector 1 into Turn 1 and then up the hill. But then Sector 2, even for the AI on the F1 game, even, you know, like in real life, it's very, very difficult sometimes to overtake. So it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag. I don't actually know how this is going to go. You know, for me, I don't ever feel like Sao Paulo is a strong circuit for me. But we've had some really strong races, but that's, you know, a bit different from the one-lap pace. So I'm not expecting big things in qualifying here. I would assume Perez is going to out-qualify us, and he's looking mighty fast right now. He's fastest of all, whereas I've got to find over 1 second there. Vettel is just under 1 second slower than Perez in Q1. Obviously, Q1 doesn't mean too much. Let's see what the times are like in Q2 and where Vettel is and where we stand with him. But I would be surprised if he managed to somehow out-qualify Perez around here, because the AI usually have me in one-lap pace. And this first run in Q2, not that great. It didn't feel great, and we're behind Verstappen there. And as we go into the middle of the session, 4 minutes to go, we are P9, and we're on the bubble. The times are too close there for Fernando Alonso. Vettel, P11, he's going to go again for sure to try and get into the top 10 shootout, but Vettel on the back foot here compared to myself and Perez, but Perez looks comfortable. We have gone quickest of all, though, in Sector 1. Green second sector, much better. Still only 3 tenths gained there to say that's purple and green, so others finding even more time in Sector 2, maybe. I don't know, way more time than I did in Sector 2, but oh well. As we go through now to the line, 3.5 tenths gained across it, and that was P6, I think I read on the top left, just ahead of Perez, but I expect him to come back at me a little bit in Q3, but we make it through into that session. That is the important thing, and Sebastian Vettel is knocked out of Q2, P11 again. Both Aston Martin cars struggling, but this time very much so, both out of Q2, and you can see Ferrari and McLaren checkerboard as it is on the R&D chart. You know, Ferrari and McLaren are the top 2 teams, I think, with Mercedes close behind, and so it's showing now in these 1 laps in Q2. But Q3, we went out straight away, because look how doom and gloom it is. The radar was telling me it was 40% chance of rain, so I went out straight away just in case. I got the bad feeling that it might start raining, and I almost thought it was, but it's just very dark and gloomy right now. The rain isn't fully here yet. Ricciardo goes quickest of all, then Norris. Here we are then across the line. This is our one and only lap, and it just wasn't that great. But to be fair, Perez didn't do much better in terms of position. In terms of time, sure, 6 tenths quicker than us, but only P8. Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes turned up the wick so much. Even Verstappen out-qualified Sergio Perez. So this is really, you know, an illustration of the R&D chart. What you're seeing there of us plateauing majorly. The first upgrade we have in a while is this for this episode, and then obviously Aston Martin with the nerf. So both myself and Perez down at the bottom part of the top 10, and Vettel is only 1 place behind me now in P11. So it's going to be a very tight race, and it's a tight fight for the standings, I guess, with all 3 of us very close together and maybe fighting for, you know, maybe not that high positions and points. I don't know, but let's get to the racing and see how we do on Sunday.
Formula One returns to Sao Paulo once again, with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Brazilian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil. It's a 2.7 mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if of course the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. I'm joined again today by none other than Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, obviously there's a lot of development work that goes on with these cars between the races. You've been both a test driver and a race driver. What differences are there in the way you approach those roles?
Interesting question, Crofty. They're two very different mindsets. I mean, when I tested for BAR, we had full in-season testing where, per driver, you'd cover up to 15,000 kilometres per season. And in that role, it was more about working for the team, trying to help them improve the car and drive as systematically as you could, so that that data could be analysed in the most consistent way. When you're lining up on the grid for a race, however, your frame of mind's all about what you can get out of the situation on that day, and the car's the tool to help you achieve what you want. You still want to focus on setup, of course, but it's more about the here and now, getting yourself as far up the field as possible, and less about development work for the future.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Bottas, Max Verstappen and Perez, Fernando Alonso, the owner driver, Leclerc, they've taken a grid penalty, and George Russell, Hamilton, Stroll, and Guan Yu Zhou and Vettel. Gasly, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda, Nikita Mazepin, they've taken a grid penalty, and Callum Island, Ocon, Giovinazzi, Latifi and Mick Schumacher. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
So, we have some grid penalties to talk about because myself and Perez have been elevated. I am now in P8, Perez is in P6, so a bit more chance for potentially Perez to go forward. We know how good of a start he was. I mean, remember USA just 2 races ago, how crazy that start was. We'll see about that. And then for us as well from P8, this is a little bit better than P10, of course. And the big penalty to talk about was actually for Sebastian Vettel. For once, one of us 3 actually gets a penalty. I'm assuming at some point there might be a chance that Perez has a penalty to take actually at Australia or Abu Dhabi, so let's not count that out. But right now at Sao Paulo, Vettel has taken a 5-place penalty. He's down to P14 because other people have also taken penalties, so he's not gone down 5 places exactly. He's gone down 4 to P14 there, but that's still not ideal for the 4-time world champion, and it is very ideal for Sergio Perez because that's just a few more points potentially that he could get in this race. But in terms of the race strategy then for everyone, either a 1-stop or on the soft tire to the hards, or we're looking at a 2-stop, 2 sets of softs and mediums. I am leaning towards the 2-stop. You guys know I prefer a more aggressive strategy, and also because I don't know, we don't really know actually, because remember last season in season 1 this was a washout. We had a full intermediate race, so I don't know, but I think going aggressive lately has worked out for us really well, so I'm kind of tempted to go with that, but we'll kind of see as we go on, I guess, midway through the race what the tyre wear's saying. So here we go then to 5 red lights with 3 rounds to go. It is very much crunch time in season 2. Here we go, the Brazilian Grand Prix. The lights are out and we're on the way in. Perez with a great start up ahead of us. We've had an okay one trying to find a way through. The rear end's locked though, and we're half spotted across the grass. With Sarr just kept it going down the hill through the centre rest, side by side with Lewis Hamilton now. But it's been a shocking start for us into turn 1, in stark contrast to our teammate who's up into the top 3 from P6 on the grid. We're 3 wide now with Hamilton, George Russell in the Alpine on the inside, but we're able to just manage to survive that and maintain the P9 there. Hamilton down to P13 as we got the aggressive elbow on the outside there and shoved him off the road a little bit, so I can't lie. But here's a replay then of Sergio Perez, our teammate. This man has the best starts in the game. I can't believe this. Look at this. He's already got 2 cars, 3 cars here. Almost goes for 4. Can't quite do it. Norris is the one that leads the way. Then Ricciardo P2. It's a 1-2 for McLaren as Sainz gets done off the line. Sainz was on the front row with Norris. Actually, the same front row as the Russian Grand Prix, just gone, funny enough. But now it's a 1-2 for McLaren, and Perez is the one in 3rd place chasing. Absolutely amazing. And remember, his rival, his main rival, Sebastian Vettel, is outside the points right now. Looks like he's in P12 behind his teammate Lance Stroll. But yeah, Perez P3, myself P9. pretty much a dream scenario for Checo, I guess. And for us, we have to try and make our way through and try and join him if we can. And the first car up in that plan is going to be Charles Leclerc. He's caught up behind Fernando Alonso. We nip it through down the inside. Oh, so close on that front left tyre. And we're still going side by side. We're able to wash him out wide as we've got the better racing line. A nice move up the hill. And opportunistic is Alonso, I think, is a bit slow and was holding up Leclerc. We now move on to lap number 3, though, and we've got yellow flags up ahead of us, and it's a Ferrari on the minimap, and it's Carlos Sainz. He's out of the Grand Prix. He smokes away that Ferrari. It may be on paper now the best team on the grid, but they're tripping over themselves far too much now in the second half of the season. That, you know, penalties for Leclerc. I think that's the second retirement in 3 races for Carlos Sainz. So, you know, I think Ferrari definitely have some reliability issues to solve if they want to be a true challenger in that fresh season 3. But my word, that could be quite exciting actually thinking about that. Sainz and Leclerc in a top car for next season, but we're gonna have to wait on that. For now, they definitely have reliability issues they need to solve, as McLaren are the ones up there, you know, dominating with the 1-2 at the moment. But now we're getting onto the back of Fernando Alonso finally. Lap number 6, the Red Bull awkwardly in the middle of the circuit. We have to wobble around and touch our tyre onto the grass on the right hand side, and we can't actually do it. The turning isn't there, and I think that was due to the grass on my front right tyre. Just couldn't get the front turned in on the left-hander as Alonso parked it very awkwardly. This time round, not going to make the same mistake. We go to the inside now and don't give him any chance to force us onto the grass and try and not finish off the move. And this time we do on the inside line up into P6, and now we've got a decent amount of clean air, I'd say there. 1.8 to try and chase after Max Verstappen, who, to be fair, is doing a great job of pressurising Valtteri Bottas. Meanwhile, behind us, lap number 9 then, 3 laps later, and Alonso showing that he has clearly got either tyre issues or just no pace, really, as he falls behind George Russell in the Alpine. He's already been overtaken by Leclerc in a move we haven't seen on screen, and then Russell in the Alpine flying pretty high here, up in P8, doing really well for himself. Really quite happy for him, for his sake, but let's hope he doesn't speed up and overtake Leclerc and then come chasing after us. But right now, we are having major problems in the car. Lap number 9, a world of understeer, and that is just due to the tyre wear. I am very tempted to come in on the next lap. That would commit us to the 2-stop, and I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to try the 1-stop, but my tyre wear's too poor. But ahead of us, yellow flags, smoke in my face as Valtteri Bottas is out of this Grand Prix. So a bit of good luck for us. We re-overtook Leclerc in a straight line and then got one more free position, but we are going to come in on lap 10 for that early pit stop, committing to the 2-stop here. But getting a little bit lucky there with Bottas. That's one more free position, so we should be hovering around, well, P5, obviously ahead of Leclerc, and then with the undercut, could look to overtake Verstappen, you know, but then, of course, the question mark is, you know, who's going to do a 2-stop with me? Who else is doing a 1-stop? The 1-stop, how quick is it in terms of, you know, can I make up that extra pit stop time? It's an unknown, because we didn't get to find out last season, because that was a complete, you know, intermediate race. And then Vettel, he's slowly creeping his way into the points, but it's nowhere near Perez's 3rd place right now. So that's right now a big focal point. Perez should be feeling pretty good in the cockpit as we now move back to our POV. Talking about that, we go around the outside of Nikita Mazepin there in the Williams for P13. A bit of a nice flat-out commitment overtake. They're having to dab the throttle around the outside to get the move done because he was so slow. He was like a mobile chicane on those worn soft tyres, and that's what I'm hoping for, that these guys on worn softs, we're going to gain a lot of time. That's what we're going to do right here. Train of 3. Ocon, Gasly, the 2 Frenchmen, then the Italian Giovinazzi. Here we go, down the inside and doing what Hamilton failed to do on Alexander Albon in 2019. And that is us up into P12 and now looking straight away at Pierre Gasly, because look at the closing speed mid-apex there. These softs are very worn. I'm feeling more and more confident about this 2-stop strategy, you know, but I think everyone might be committing to 1-stop here. So I may be in my own little boat, but here we go for the move. Gasly, though, with DRS on Giovinazzi. So we're going to both go for the move round the outside, and Gasly on the inside. It's 3 abreast into turn 1, and we've just made a double overtake on the Frenchman and Italian. Great stuff there, really visually actually quite pleasing to see as me and Gasly kind of pincered him at either side of Giovinazzi, and we've just got ahead of Verstappen as well. Verstappen's come out the pit lane, he's on hard tyres, so he is doing the one stop, but that's kind of how you know most people will be doing the one stop, because Red Bull historically haven't been that great at tyre wear this season. They usually are on a two stop, so Red Bull are committing to that long stint on hard tyres, but it's so crucial we got ahead of Max there, as it gives us the clean air to chase after. Well, the likes of this man, Sergio Perez, we're coming at him at a rate of knots. Lap number 16, we're up into P6 now. Perez P5, Norris and Ricciardo are up the road in P4 and 3. They've swapped positions, by the way. Ricciardo has jumped Norris in the pit stops, and we now go for a move on Sergio Perez. Tyre on the grass as Perez squeezes a little bit respectful on the inside, but in the end, we have the overwhelming pace, obviously, on the softer compound tyre. But what I wanted to allude to was that the two McLarens in 3 and 4, because the two Aston Martins have still not pit. Lap 16, Stroll in the lead, Vettel P2, but for how much longer as Ricciardo comes through? But Sebastian Vettel has DRS on his teammate and instead goes for the race lead. The two Astons side by side briefly there. They need to watch out because they cannot afford for Vettel to get damaged fighting his own teammate here. But the Aston Martin team once again showing that they just seem to have the best tyre on the grid, because they're doing this bonkers strategy that they've done time and time again as of late, as they both go super long on the first stint on the softest compound, and I bet you Stroll is put onto mediums and Vettel will be as well, and they're both going to try a one stop on mediums to the end. And to be fair, look at Vettel right here, he's fighting for the lead, he's defending against the two McLarens. It's 3 wide, the two McLarens either side of him. Norris is the one that goes through though, and he retakes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix. But the safety car is now out on lap 17. It's Fernando Alonso. Alonso into the pit wall on the exit, it seems. So I don't know if he's exiting the pit lane or what, but he's out this Grand Prix. We're having to slow down quite a fair bit for the freaking Delta time there, then speed back up. But this safety car now surely helps out Sebastian Vettel, may even help out Lance Stroll as well, because Stroll just left the pit lane. But looks like Alonso lost the rear end and then just slid into the wall on the left-hand side there. So just a kind of AI mistake. Obviously, those can happen on this game. Now, we've seen them more often, actually, on this game than the previous ones. They were a thing in F1 2020, but they were very rare, I feel. But now on this game, we've seen a fair few. Remember, you know, Giovinazzi at Italy at Parabolica spinning it. But Vettel now has pit in. He was just ahead of us there under the safety car. We pit in for the second time in this race under the safety car, because if I don't pit, I'm essentially losing out, because I'm going to have to make this second pit stop anyway. But if I make it now, well, the thinking is Vettel and Stroll are clearly, you know, trying to go to the end on medium. So I've got to try and now do that as well. So I'm matching Aston Martin's strategy. I just had an extra pit stop in the middle of it because, well, my tyre wear on the softs was definitely not capable of going to lap 16. Like, I don't know how Vettel was fighting for the lead still on lap 16 onto 17, because my tyres, the only reason, that moment where I had with Leclerc, where he went down the inside of me at the last two corners, was because I had so much understeer from my soft tyres. So I don't know how Vettel and Stroll, to be fair, is also managing that. But all season, it seems like the Aston Martin car is magical with its tyre wear, and they seem to just be doing this bonkers one stop with the two softest compounded tyres rather than using the hard compound. And yeah, so baffling, but yeah, so we've basically gone on their strategy, because if I didn't do this, I would have been, you know, throwing away my own race in terms of having to make another stop outside of this safety car window. Would have been an absolute nightmare, because of course everyone is bunching up right now under this safety car. So it made sense, even though it's a bit of pain right now. We'll just have to suck it up and hope that our medium tyres, kind of like the Aston Martins, will be quick enough to try and cut through. But this is the thing, this is very interesting now. You've got Perez on hards, Vettel, he looked pretty quick on softs there, on worn softs fighting the McLarens. So who knows what his pace could be like on mediums. Could we see Vettel once again showing his talent this season, as he has shown many times this season? And could he be cutting through towards Sergio Perez? Let's find out as we're now getting ready for the restart. Verstappen directly ahead of us, Leclerc with a penalty, but we're still going to have to overtake him on track to go even further. But we get the jump on Verstappen, who's caught napping a little bit. But Verstappen's on the inside, and he's going to almost definitely dive bomb Leclerc here. There he goes. I absolutely knew that was going to happen. Just so typical of the AI to dive bomb there when we're side by side with him. But instead, we get a good run now. Leclerc offset a little bit by Verstappen being side by side with him. And here we go now with the double slipstream. him, get the toe off Leclerc, the toe off Verstappen, down the inside, and it is a very, very satisfying and smooth double overtake, to the point where Jeff, my engineer, tells me, congratulations, good job on the double pass. But yeah, that was as smooth as you want. That was the energy I'm hoping to take forward for the rest of this Grand Prix. But let's see what Sebastian Vettel can do, as he's now going for a move on George Russell. They're side by side through the centre S, so Vettel is looking pretty punchy as well on the mediums. Looks like the medium tyre could be a pretty handy one. But Stroll, his teammate, might just come and ruin the party. Stroll down the inside. That's exactly the opposite of what Vettel needs. Clearly no team orders, Aston Martin. Stroll is ahead of Vettel, and Stroll is now going for a move on George Russell, maybe. The long way round at the end of that DRS straight doesn't quite work out for him. Russell still in P4, but Stroll has the overwhelming pace, dives to the inside. It's so bloody close up the hill, and Stroll wobbling away, controlling the car, catching it almost at the top of the hill, and he gets the move for P4. Fabulous move. And at the moment, you've got to say he's making the moves that Sebastian Vettel needs to be making. Vettel needs to be where Stroll is if he wants to try and reduce the damage in the championship to Sergio Perez, our teammate. And he's maybe going to be susceptible to us, maybe. But now, Vettel finally goes for a move on Russell for the second time now. Couldn't quite do it a few laps ago. This time, though, Vettel on the outside. The right-hand side will be the inside for the uphill right-hander. And we're going to try and follow him through cheekily. It's so tight. And Russell squeezes us into the curb and almost onto the grass there, as he did not want to give that position, but we wanted that move. We had to make that move, because I think that the key to this is trying to not waste time here, and Vettel looks like he's finally woken up, and I need to follow Vettel here. We're going to both try and overtake Stroll, and then I guess the plan is to try and both close up to Sergio Perez. This could become a really juicy ending. All three of us in the championship fight could be fighting each other. But here, firstly, goes Vettel on his teammate Lance Stroll. We're just there with a bucket of popcorn, waiting to see what's going to happen. Stroll, oh my god, nearly makes contact with Vettel as he gets squeezed in, but Vettel keeps his foot in. He had the confidence on the inside line to just kind of keep it going, and he's got P4. Can we get Lance Stroll straight away? The dive bomb opens up. No, not quite. We lock the rear, and we just about avoid Lance Stroll. I thought there was maybe an opening there, but thought better of it at the last minute. And instead, we're going to be a little bit more patient and wait until lap 30 to get this move. Purple last sector. Our car is flying in that last one, and Stroll is not, as we're on the inside at the center S. What a move we have just made. I did not even mean to do that, but we just roll the car through around the outside. Stroll was so slow at the apex of turn 1, and we're up into P5 then, and now it's about chasing after Sebastian Vettel. We've got 5 laps to go. We have got 2 seconds to Sergio Perez, 6/10 to Sebastian Vettel, but the thing is, both me and Vettel in tandem are closing up to Perez, and as that's happening, I'm closing up to Vettel relative just to him as well, so this is ideal. But now it's time to slingshot our way past and overtake the man in the British Racing green car. Round the outside we go of the Aston Martin. Vettel defends us a little bit there, because we have the overwhelming pace. Our car is the quicker car, remember, and so we're through into P4. Now, to be fair, ideally for Perez, he would rather it finish like this, because I've taken further points from Vettel, and he's still gaining the same amount of points on Vettel. But I'm afraid to say for him, I want the 3rd place. We've got the pace. There's no point sitting back behind him if I've got the pace. And here we are then. DRS on the outside. It's very close. Perez, good defense. But on the exit, he's a bit slow. He's been rumbled. And we keep our footing with ERS now on the right-hand side. It's so fine on the left. But we get the job done. Into P3, the podium position. And Perez doesn't have any answer. We're on the medium. It's the quicker tyre. We're in the same car, so we are going to be the quicker car. It's a no-brainer. Vettel, I don't think he's going to catch Perez, because he's in the Aston, and that Aston now is just not that quick anymore compared to Perez here. He needs track position, Vettel, to do anything in this Grand Prix. But here we are then. It's a 1-2! Oh my, what the? It's a 1-2 for McLaren. but now it's Daniel Ricciardo in the lead. Norris was leading for most of this race, but he's spun it at turn 1. Another major AI mistake in this race, and Norris is the two McLarens were too far ahead for us to do anything about it. So if you're getting your hopes up about us getting P2, it's not going to happen. It's still going to be a 1-2 for McLaren. That spin's just going to mean it's Ricciardo that takes home another win for McLaren. Kind of sad for Lando there to miss out so late on P2, but for us, P3, another podium to add to our tally, and points over Perez and points over Sebastian Vettel. But you know what? Perez also got points over Vettel today. Not maybe as many points as he was hoping for, but he got points. Driver of the day is Vettel. Fair play. He climbed up the order from P14, but what a race for the championship.
We've witnessed some great battles around the historic curves of Interlagos today, and they've taken a fantastic win. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight.
A McLaren 1-2, it kind of should have been Lando, to be honest, but that AI mistake, I mean, it hurt Alonso, to be fair, and took him out of the Grand Prix, so it could have been a lot worse for the Brit, but he still gets P2, and McLaren showing that when they are fine, and they don't have any bad luck, and they operationally are good, they are very quick this season, and they have been for the second half of the season. Kind of them and Ferrari yo-yoing about. I think, you know, what we're seeing here is Season 3, next season, it's going to be McLaren v Ferrari, I think, initially. We're going to have to play catch-up. Obviously, now, I don't think we're going to get a regulation reset, so we could actually do a lot of spending over the winter to catch them up, but that's a different conversation. I'll leave that till Season 3. Right now, though, with 2 rounds to go, look how close it is. Perez is now 4 points behind Sebastian Vettel. We are now 9 points behind Vettel. That's still quite a bit of, you know, ground to make up if we're, you know, if we're not getting a win in the next 2 races, which could happen, you never know, but at the same time, like I just said, Ferrari and McLaren look very quick. They look like they're trying to reserve those spots, which makes things even more exciting, because it means, you know, us three, we're fighting for smaller points, which means these, you know, these gaps in the championship, they can't be swung really quickly. 2 rounds to go, though. Vettel still leads. He's still just about holding on. Can he do it for 2 more races? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and do you think I have a genuine outside shot? Let me know, but in the Constructors, I think we're looking comfortable. As long as nothing goes wrong at Australia, I think we could actually round out the Constructors Championship at Melbourne, which would be really amazing to do. The pressure would be off on that side of the championship, and could mean the gloves could be off then at Abu Dhabi for me, v Perez and Vettel, and that'd be ideal, obviously, in terms of just for the sake of comfort there, and very cool, obviously, to get our very first Constructors Championship in the My Team career mode on F1 2021. But if you guys did enjoy that very entertaining and tense Grand Prix at times, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and roll on the last 2 rounds. Australia and Abu Dhabi, it is still all to play for. Vettel v Perez v myself, potentially. Till the next one, guys, I'll be sure to say goodbye.